Yeah, man, it's about that time again. Focus up, distraction down. This is another episode of the Infinite Ambition Podcast. Recognize your limitless worth, damn it. This is episode 28, and today I will be giving you kind of an autobiography of my musical journey from start to finish. It might even go from before the start to the present, because I don't know if I'm finished yet, but I'm finished with certain aspects of it. But I'm going to go through just a lesson, history journey of what I've been through, what I've done. And for those of you who may not know, and for some of you who do know, I'm going to be sharing a lot of things that I haven't shared with anybody before. So anybody who thinks they know everything about me as far as like my musical journey or things that I've done and experienced, or way I've got to, how I've gotten to where I am now, or what I've done in the past, and what I was talking about in some of my songs, I'm going to break it down for you in this episode, because I explained a whole lot of it in my music, told a lot of stories about my life and things that I've seen and done and experienced and went through, but most of that has gone unnoticed. Not saying it's just been slept on, it's just I know that my music hasn't reached as much people as I would have liked it to, and that's okay. I understand that. No, I understand that my style and my taste and what I've put out there isn't for everybody, hasn't been for everybody. It's changed throughout the years a little bit, it's grown, it's matured, but at the same time, I haven't been able to reach that massive connection that would have liked to. But that's cool though, because I've done other things that I am proud of, and I have had success in music in minor ways, and in some ways that's not widely known to everybody, and that's cool. But I'm happy with what I've done. I'm very proud of what I've done. And some of you who have been along with me from what they may have think I've been the beginning, it was not actually the beginning. And I'm going to share some stories with you that you may not have known, that you thought you've seen everything, but you have no idea. This is a fun episode for me, man. It's kind of therapeutic, as you can say. And like I said before, if I wasn't able to get my stories out to the ears I wanted to get it out to through my music, you'll hear it this way. And if that doesn't reach this way, I have other ways I can get my medium across or get my story across. So I have decided to go ahead and take it back. Let's go ahead and go to the beginning, man. Let's take it back, man. When I was a kid, my mom, she played the piano, man. She was cold on the piano, man. And I think she played the clarinet also, because she had it in the house and she used to jam a little bit. I'd hear it. But I used to listen to her, like sometimes she would be in the living room and she can play by ear, like a commercial come on TV, and she will play along to the commercial by ear. I thought that was the coolest thing, man. I used to see all her piano music books in the house, in the room, and then by the piano. And this before I even was able to read any kind of music or understand what any of that was. It looked like a foreign language to me. I'm telling you, man. But she was nice with it. And I grew up listening to a lot of old soul, a lot of funk. Hip hop didn't come into play until I was about 5, 6, 7 years old. You know, I was turned on to by LL Cool J and Run DMC, NWA. You know, I was listening to Kumo D, cats like that. And my mom, though, she used to vibe out to some of the hip hop that was on the radio at the time when I was little, because hip hop was still pretty new back then. I was born in 1981, so hip hop was still in its I want to say infancy, but it's toddler stage, if you will. But around the 5th, 6th grade, I was playing the trumpet in high school, and I wasn't in the school band, but I was in the music class. Allowed us to play instruments, pick up an instrument, and learn how to play an instrument. Back then, a lot of the public schools were doing that. Then later on, a lot of the public schools got rid of their music programs. But I was fortunate enough to be able to do that, and I learned the trumpet. And that was fun. It was a fun instrument. You know, I played in some recitals at school, and I used to practice at home, but I wasn't full on practicing. I used to try to riff and freestyle a little bit on my own before I even knew how to play all the notes, right? And my mom be yelling from the other room like, "You gotta be practicing for real. If you want to get good, you better learn it the right way and stop playing around." So I eventually got a little better at it and took it more seriously, but I didn't stick with it like I should have, because I got interested in other things when junior high school came around. 7th and 8th grade, I started really getting heavy into playing video games and whatnot. I was studying martial arts, taking karate at the local dojo, and I got fairly decent at that. But I always told myself in my mind, man, I want to produce music some way. These music I'm hearing on the radio, these little cassettes that I'm buying or getting with my little grass cutting, snow shoveling money allowance. Well, I wasn't getting an allowance, but little odd jobs I was getting as an early teenager, money I was buying cassettes with. I wanted to be able to make music like that, do that somehow. How can I do that? Because I used to love like when you get an album, whether it be a CD or cassette, reading the liner notes as you're listening to it. You know what I'm saying? I was really fascinated with learning like, okay, who's the writers on the song? Who produced it? How do they get that sound? Who did these instruments? Who played these instruments? I was reading about like the record labels, publishing before I even knew about all that stuff. I was just fascinated with reading the credits on each song, and I thought that was cool. I always wanted to be in on that or create something like that. How can I create that? How can I give people the feeling that I felt when I heard this song? I popped that cassette in and started jamming out to it. And this is before I even had an inkling that I wanted to write or be a rapper. I just wanted to be involved in making the music somehow. I didn't know how to play drums or piano or any other instrument, but eventually one day I did want to learn. But high school comes around about, I guess I would say sophomore year. Freshman year, I kind of wanted to dabble in writing a little bit, but I didn't know how. I thought I was just writing poems, but it's like poetry over rhythm, over a beat, cadence. You got to talk about something. These things I barely knew about back then, but in my sophomore year, I thought I could write something. I tried to write something. I used to write it to a couple of my boys who was also trying to dabble in writing a little bit. We barely knew anything about writing rhymes. And we used to make each other laugh, writing silly stuff or try to write something that was emulate our favorite artists. And my junior year, I went to my vocational school, Miami Valley Career Technology Center, which I got an adjacent degree also with along with my home school in Trotwood, Ohio. Got a degree there too. But I met my homeboy Talon, aka Zips. May he rest in peace now. I used to sit next to him in our lab class, commercial art, and he used to be sitting there writing rhymes. I was writing rhymes. We used to talk about our rhyme styles together, read each other's rhymes to each other. He would talk about his favorite artists. I would talk about my favorite artists, and that was also inspiring me a little bit to start writing some more. Try to, because his rhymes was dope. He was nice with the pen, way better than I was at that time. And I was like, man, how can I get like that, but not bite him? And I realized that he was inspired by a lot of the people that a lot of his favorite artists know. He was inspired by Wu-Tang and that Wu-Tang Clan. I was inspired by a lot of West Coast artists and Twista and Bone Thugs and Harmony, some Midwest cats that was huge at the time that my favorite artists were. And my favorite female artist, the Brat, she was crazy with the bars. I was inspired by them. I used to try to write like them and try to emulate them. My shit sounded like trash compared to that. I'm like, what am I doing, man? I'm just trying to practice, get like do what they're doing. That's what I was my thinking with sophomore and junior year of high school. But then senior year rolls around, and my boy Jaren, aka the Gemini, who was doing some writing himself, but he also played in the band back in Trotwood. He played the trumpet too, I believe. So he had a strong musical background with his family being involved in music, his dad and everything, millions of records, crates stacked up. He was deep into funk, and I was loving that. Me and him used to talk about music all the time. And he eventually, we both graduated at the same time. When he graduated, he went to International College of Broadcasting, where he learned more about the technical side of producing, mixing, mastering, and engineering. I didn't go there. I kind of wish I did, but I wanted to pursue a career in graphic design because I was really good drawing and I love commercial art and putting things together like that. But I didn't have a full passion for it as much as I did with music. I didn't think graphic design would really make me a good living. So, along with my regular job, I was working at a restaurant. I didn't end up going to college like I tried to. I applied to a bunch of colleges and wanted to study various things, but I eventually ended up joining the Marine Corps straight out of high school, a few months later out of high school. And, I'm not really trying to turn this into a story about my life in the military or anything like that. That's just one of the chapters in this journey. If anybody's been enlisted in the military full-time, especially the Marine Corps, and I can't speak for other branches, but, you go through basic training or boot camp, and then you come home on leave for 1 or 2 weeks. and then you get sent to your MOS school. Your MOS is your job or your occupation. MOS stands for Military Occupation Specialty. And then you get to choose to either go on leave again or to get sent to your duty station. I'm fast forwarding a little bit. While I was on leave from after boot camp, I came home, and the Gemini, I'm not sure if he was on the way to graduate from ICB or almost there. He had a final he was working on, and that involved a music project, and he had some studio time at the studio there. Him and his homeboy Griff, which he met there, they was working on some music, and he let me rock with him on a song we worked on. I believe is either The Wood or The Thunder. I can't remember which one was first, but we recorded that, and that was my first time in a professional recording studio, actually recording my voice rapping ever. And at that time, I had a whole bunch of songs written, a whole bunch of verses written, random verses. I was still learning bar structure and things of that nature, but I kind of had since I knew what I wanted to say, and looking back on some of those songs compared to now, I sounded like ass, but I thought I sounded pretty good at the moment. I didn't really know much about how to deliver my voice or how my voice sounded on record or what kind of style I wanted to do. I just wanted to sound cool and smooth like some of my favorite artists and the beats that I like listening to, because I used to write I used to write the beats that was in my head and songs that was in my head and write to those styles and just practice. So I got in the booth, man, got behind that big ass mic in the control room, the soundproof and the headphones. I was a little nervous, but I was excited at this whole time. Jim and I worked on a beat from scratch. He played live drums, he did the bass and everything. He was behind the mixing board, and there's pictures of that too. I wish I still had the video of that session on a camcorder or something, but I don't think either one of us has it. But yeah, we did that. We put it on a CD and we just played it for ourselves and friends, whatever, in cars, and we just listened back to it and was like, yeah, this is cool. He was on the song too. It was our song together. Both of them. I can't remember which one was first. I think The Thunder had Griff on it also. Griff and G-Chow, another homeboy of mine who's an amazing lyricist. I might talk more about him later on. But anyway, I went back to Hawaii, for my MOS school, and I was writing still a lot. And I was finally getting involved in, finally starting to go out for the first time. What I mean by go out, I mean like go out to the clubs and go to parties and stuff with people during my off time from school, which I wasn't really exposed to a lot of that back when I was in high school. And I realized how much fun I was having. I was coming out of my shell a lot more, like, yo, I like this life. I like this type of stuff, And I was young, I'm saying 18, 19, getting out there just having a ball, not having a lot of responsibilities. But I was writing about a lot of that and writing about a lot of thoughts that was in my head. And trying to write back home when I could, or make calls back home, because I didn't have a cell phone yet. This was late 99, early 2000, But anyway, I was writing a ton. And when I got stationed in Hawaii, I didn't opt to come home for another week of leave. I went straight to my duty station because I was one of the only few in my graduating class to get stationed in Hawaii. And I thought that was the coolest thing, man. My chest was sticking all the way out. You know what I mean? But I was still humbled because I was like, why me? I got to take a full advantage of this opportunity, because I never thought that I would actually be going to Hawaii, of all places, let alone get stationed there. At that time, I didn't even know there was a Marine Corps base stationed there. That's how ignorant I was to the situation that I was getting thrown into. But when I got to station in Hawaii, after I got settled and everything, I started meeting some cats in the barracks, a couple cooks, a couple people that weren't cooks, getting close with some dudes, and a few of them dudes can rhyme, man. They can actually rap too, And then one of them, he had a little 4-track recorder and a keyboard, and he made a couple of beats here and there. He didn't really know what he was doing that much, and I didn't either, but I wanted to learn. And we had these cassettes you would put in that 4-track. I think it was a Tascam recorder or something, with 4-track mixing board on there, and had like some knobs and stuff. I was trying to figure it out as I was going along. That's when I learned about tracking and what mixing was. How to lay different instruments on different tracks and how to tune each instrument to sound the way you want it, and how to layer it and record and overdub and stuff. And I didn't know how to play the piano yet, and I just knew how to program sounds into the keyboard, and each key was different instrument, different sounds. So I'll like make these little generic sounding ass beats and try to rhyme over them. He had a little microphone or whatever, and we would play around making some stuff. But His name was Upchurch, Daniel Upchurch, man. Me and him became close. Crazy dude, man. Wild dude, good, super grimy, but I miss that dude, man. And my other homeboy, call him Big Nate. Big Nate Reddick, man. We still close to this day, man. He came all the way out to my wedding, man. I miss that dude. Like, I ain't seen him, man. I can go on a whole other tangent story about him, man. His dopeness, but anyway, he was one of the dopest lyricists I've ever heard to this day. And I was still wondering if he'd ever put out more than the couple songs of hers that are his that I heard from on MySpace back in the day. But anyway, man, he used to rap his ass off. He'd be freestyling any chance he got, man. We'd be beatboxing, he'd be beatboxing, we'd be doing ciphers, rhyming together. You know, we had a couple other homeboys. My name Dane Mitchell. He was pretty dope lyricist. I don't know if he ever recorded or anything. Haven't been in touch with him since 2002. But we used to act like we're making these tapes, man. We used to go around freestyling whenever you had a chance to, whether it be at work, because we worked in the same mess hall, or if it was out in town at parties or clubs. We'd be just writing and rapping. He was from Connecticut, and he used to just spit like a madman, but he inspired me a lot. Then he put me on the AZ's first album. And I heard of AZ before. I heard him on Life's a Bitch by Nas, on Nas's first album. So I kind of knew who he was from that verse, but haven't heard his first album yet, Do or Die. And that album changed my life. It changed my whole outlook on rap, hip hop. Made me take writing more seriously. Made me step my bars up a lot. I had about 50-something, 60-something rhymes or songs in my notebook. It made me want to throw them shits away. I did it, but it made me want to, because I was like, man, this shit's trash compared to what I'm hearing. And man, so he was playing in the barracks one day, man, and I heard that Rather Unique, and I heard that shit made me want to write so bad. I started going crazy writing, man. Then I heard that I Feel For You. That made me give a new respect to making beats and moving people. Then when that Sugar Hill came on, man, I lost my damn mind. I thought that was the dopest thing I ever heard in my life at that moment. And I couldn't stop running it back. Man. I was like, I want people to feel like the way I'm feeling now when they hear my shit one day. And that's been my goal ever since. And I've been an AZ stan ever since then, man. Anything he put out, I'm buying it, I'm playing it without a preview or checking it or anything. So man, I was like, I just started writing more and more and more. And when I got out of the service, late 2002, I think it was, I was in a bad way in life for a while. I was struggling a lot, homeless. Me and a few of my homeboys, we had a place, we lost it because I couldn't find a job, and I was struggling. My car got repoed while I was living in it. I was working this sales job, wasn't really making money right, and you know, it was crazy, man. I didn't really do much writing, but I did a lot of writing in my head because I had a lot to say, a lot going on. But I was trying to figure out on my way, you know. I was told to go back home and just say, forget Hawaii, go home where your family is, they can help you out. And my ego and pride wouldn't let me do it, man. I thought, let me try to figure out this out on my own. I'm not a man unless I figure it out on my own. And that was a stupid way of thinking when you got all these people willing to help you. And I'm out there 21, 22 years old, like, nah, I got this, thinking I had it, and I didn't have it figured out, making stupid decisions, grinding unnecessarily. But I eventually made it up out of the mud, out of the gutter, and we'll get to that. But somehow, some way, I ended up dating somebody who would want my ass in that position that I was in. But I was lucky enough to find somebody who saw the inner me for me and saw my heart, and we became close. We got real tight, you know. And I ended up every now and then. I'm gonna skip a little bit. I ended up working and getting a job, hired on Norwegian Cruise Line, the cruise ship, because she used to work on a different ship before, I think Carnival or something, and she said this company was hiring, so she wanted to do it. So I wanted to do it. Told me about the benefits and everything. I can get out of the situation I was in, make some money, travel the world, meet a lot of people. Boom, I'm in. Sign me up. But before I signed up, you know, I went to go visit her at her job every now and then, and she'll tell me about this dude that she worked with. He was a lyricist. He wrote, he rapped, he made songs. And this young man goes by the name of Kanava. Him and his two brothers and this other cat named Majesty, they had a group. They was putting out CDs hand in hand. That's the way we did it back then, before anybody would get signed, or before there was streaming, the internet, before those MySpace really came out, before there was a Facebook and Instagram and SoundCloud and all this other shit, Spotify and all that. People would hand out CDs on the ground, man, either handing them out or $5 here, $10 here, whatever. And she was like, "I'll let you meet him." I was like, "All right." So I go to her job one day while she on break. I meet him. He's like, "Yeah, she told me you rhyme." I was like, "Yeah, I rap and whatever. I never recorded anything yet, anything real." He's like, "All right, my name's Kaniva. Here's some CDs of some songs me and my brothers have done." So I'm playing the songs. I'm vibing to them, listening to them. They're mixtape style. They're over industry beats and a few beats that some of his friends that are producers made. So we exchange information, and before you know it, we're talking on the regular. Then we end up following each other on MySpace. I think we did at that time, or maybe it came later. I'm not sure, because MySpace came out around 2003 or 4-ish. But people didn't really hop on it publicly. It didn't really start to grow big until 2005, 2006 or 7, when it really became global. So we just contacted through phones. And he was like, "Yo," one day he's like, "Yo, I'm gonna come to the studio. Going up to the studio. Would you like to come through? See what we're doing?" I was like, "Yeah." Now I can't remember if this studio session was before I hopped on the cruise line or after, and I did about 4 months and came home on a month of vacation. They call it vacation, and basically just like leave, rest and relaxation, R&R. Memory's kind of foggy during that time, but I think it was before. And I go to the studio with them. Him and his brother working on the song. I think they had some other cat in there doing the song. It's the first big studio, second big studio I've ever been to. Big professional studio. It was EMS, Exclusive Music Studio. Was in Pro City. I think it was Pro City, yeah. Yeah, man, the engineer there was dope. It was a big studio, man, big control room with a couch, restroom, and all that. Big giant vocal booth. You could fit a whole damn band in there. And I'm on the couch just sitting there watching everything going on, like, damn, all right. And I'm hyped. I'm in there. I'm excited, man. A couple of the other cats in there thought something was wrong with me. They was like, "This dude got Tourette's or something? Why are you so turned up?" I was just excited. Plus, I wanted to show my hunger. So I didn't record anything that day because it wasn't booked for me. It was booked for them. I was just a fly on the wall. So I'm going to jump ahead. I think the next thing in chronological order, if I'm going in chronological order the right way. By the way, if anybody's listening to this and they hear their name or hear themselves being talked about, and if anything I'm saying is kind of inaccurate, or if any of the times are inaccurate, or any the timeline of events is a little off or something, correct me in the comments or hit me up on my line and correct me, tell me, because like I said, I've been through a lot in life. I've done a lot. This is just talking about the musical side, this episode, so I might miss something or forget something minor or small, or throw something off a little bit in the timeline. I don't mean to. I just want to make sure I'm saying it to the best of my memory. I didn't write any of this down. This is just how I'm thinking about it. And yeah, man, I just want you to go ahead and hit me up and correct me if I'm wrong, man. And I would love to reach out to everybody, but I can't. Some people I be trying to reach out to, and some of y'all know who y'all are. Don't be trying to act all Hollywood and act like you're much bigger than you are. Acting like you're too booked and busy when you know damn well you're working at Arby's and you're living on your girlfriend's back porch. No shade to anybody working at Arby's, man. Shout out to Arby's. I love that. But anyway, so when I get the job on the cruise line, I'm still writing, and by the time I get to on my first ship, I start dabbling in there's a crew bar, a bar for the crew down below decks, and they let anybody go in there and just DJ. And I had a bunch of CDs with me, man. So I'm figuring one night I'm watching all the different guys come in there and DJ. Some of them are whack, some of them are good. And I'm thinking, well, I DJed one time at one family reunion when I was like 9 years old, and I had a taste for it. Didn't really know what I was doing, but I had a taste for mixing and feeling what the crowd's into, what they wanted to do. And we talked about I talked about this a little bit in the episode I did with DJ, but I was watching, and one night decided to take over, and people was loving what I was doing, how my selections and the way I was mixing, and I caught the bug, and it felt like one of the funnest things ever. So fast forward some months, either I'll come back to Hawaii on Leave and Liberty for about a month, I believe it was. I meet up with Kaniva, Hood, Isizo, Majesty. Majesty wasn't one of their brothers, but he was in the group. I believe at this time I go into the studio with them and actually working on something. believe I was working on either Live in Here or Get Wild. And I still have the CDs with those songs on them too. And we was able to put those songs on our Facebook, our MySpace pages. Sorry, because you was able to upload your own music on your MySpace pages. But yeah, we ended up doing. I think Live in Here was first. It was a group. It was a song with all of us. I think all of us was on there, except for I believe Hood Prince wasn't on that song. But it was a pretty turned up song, and I think I wrote my verse right there on the spot in the studio because I didn't have the beat first. I could be wrong. Maybe I did have the beat first and I wrote my song. I don't remember, but I wrote it, and at the time I was still trying to find my voice, and my voice sounded better. I projected a little better, but nothing compared to now. Nothing compared to how good it sounded over the next 10, 15 years and or so. But I feel like I did a good job for one of my first couple times in the studio, you know. Then we also I think we did Live in Here at that time or after I got finished working on the cruise line a few years later. I'm not sure. Let's just say for the sake of storytelling, we did Live in Here. We did Get Wild later. So I'm back on the ship for another contract, another 4-month contract, you know, and they got a crew talent show on the ship. They did it every Sunday. They did it for the passengers who was disembarking, and it's also broadcasted on live crew TV, which is those TVs in every cabin for the crew on the ship and for the passengers, and those TVs in the common areas like the mess hall, crew mess, other areas where people can watch it. Now, this is my first time on a stage that big, performing for that many people at once. I think it was about 300 or 400 in the crowd. And every week, now I'm thinking, okay, I gotta remember the passengers, the type of crowd that's there, but also remember the crew who's seen on TV. So I want to perform something that both can relate to, that has to be clean but can't be corny, but still kind of good, get everybody's attention and let everybody know that I'm serious about this. And I never had stage fright, and this was a proof, because I would alternate weeks. One week I would do a love song, I think it was called Guiding Light, and the next other week I would do a song about Hawaii, because I loved Hawaii that much. I was in love with it, and it's called Floating on Paradise. So I would do those alternating weeks, and the people loved it. I got good reception. The crew, they would tell me they saw on TV. Most of the response was good. Every now and then I get a response. Somebody would be a little jokey or snarky saying, "Oh, it was cool. It was a little Will Smithish or a little kind of clean." I'm like, well, you got to remember, these passengers on the performer floor, there's not that much of a hip hop crowd there, and the majority of them are elderly or like middle age and up. And for a certain demographic, that's not really about the hip hop show life. So plus our crew show was more of a variety show. I was the only hip hop act, so I was walking a fine line as far as like what I was allowed to do and what I was willing to do. But I was always asked back to do it week after week, and I kept doing it. Oh, don't let me forget, a little earlier in my ship life career, my NCLA career, we had a little contest on the ship. Somebody in the crew staff was holding it for the crew. They called it Aloha Idol, because we was the first foreign flag ship that was reflagged as an American flag ship when we was on our way to Hawaii. So they held this contest. It was like American Idol style, like a tournament style, but elimination, whatever. Started out with about 10 or 12 people. I don't know. I think I was the only one rapping. There's one other guy that rapped, but he got eliminated in the first round. I made it all the way to the final round. First of all, each round was performed in the crew bar, and I did original rap songs over industry beats, because at this time I didn't have any of my own beats. And I made it all the way down to the final round, which was performed in the main theater for passengers and crew. And I did my Floating on Paradise song, the first song I did about Hawaii, and I did pretty well. I don't think there's a picture of me somewhere, but video of that performance, there is not one, not to my knowledge anyway. But I think it's second or third place, I can't remember. The guy who won first place was a singer. He sang some song immaculately. It was perfect. It was beautiful the way he belted the song out. He killed it. But my prize was $300 cash, a really nice watch, and an iPod, which was the first generation iPods when they first came out. And I had the iPod, and I loved it, man. I mean, at the time, my laptop didn't have the capabilities to upload music to it. I didn't have the right whatever software or cable, so I gave it to my girlfriend at the time because I couldn't really do anything with it. But she had a computer that can do that. That was like the first iPod. You can only hold like a couple hundred songs or 100 songs. It only had like 30 megabytes or something. It was, you remember the big blocky one? Anyway, that's what that was, and that was fun, man. One of my first times performing for an audience that big. Also, I want to get into one of my experiences on the ship. When I knew I definitely was built for performing. I really wanted to perform. I knew I had it in my heart that I loved doing it because, like I said, I've never had stage fright. I've always had stage hype. I love being on stage when that big, bright, hot light hits you and get everybody's attention, and it's just fun, man. Commanding the crowd, they're feeding your every word. You're loving it, man. But one thing that let me know that for sure that I really wanted to do it and had so much fun doing it is one of the weekends that we had a cruise show coming up, and I was getting off of work to get ready to head backstage to perform, getting off of work from the kitchen I was working in. And I started to feel a little sick the closer I got towards the theater. Now, by the time I got backstage, I was feeling like straight shit trash. My stomach, my head, I get the chills. My head was hurt. My stomach was turning all over the place. I was feeling super weak, man. And I knew this felt like I was having flu symptoms. I don't know. I was really feeling like just terrible bad, weak. I'm like, I don't know if I can do this, man. I can't do it. I'm in the back corner behind, away from everybody, questioning myself. But I didn't tell the director at the time that I couldn't perform because it was too late. Showtime in a few minutes, literally. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna power through this. I'm waiting backstage for my turn to go on. I was like near the end of the show. It wasn't the closer, but like the second or last to the closer. And I'm standing in the wings off to the side of the stage, and I'm feeling like I'm about to collapse, but I'm trying to block it out in my mind. And as soon as she calls my name, I walk out to the stage and I hear people clapping or applauding, just like the polite applause they do when people come out. All of a sudden, click, snap, everything just turned off. My mind just went into performance mode, and I performed the song flawlessly. I felt during the whole time of the performance, that 3 minutes and 48 seconds, I felt perfectly fine, felt energized, my regular strength, felt like I wasn't even sick at all. And then as I finished the song, bowed, powered through it, walked off stage, and as soon as I got backstage past the wings, I just felt like I was about to just blow everything out of my stomach. I looked for the nearest trash can. All the sickness came back, instantly hit me hard as hell. Damn near collapsed. I barely stumbled back to my cabin, called the nurse on duty, told her what situation, and they put me on quarantine in my cabin for 48 hours. But I knew that was after that. I knew that, okay, yeah, I was built for this. I was meant for this. This is what I want to do. I met a cat named Robert Freeman, who was one of the crew members. I forgot what his job was, but he had his laptop and a recording mic and some beats in his cabin, and he was telling me about, like, he saw me on TV, he wanted to do something with me. And another homeboy of his name was Black something, I can't remember his name right now. If you're listening to this, Robert, please hit me up and tell me his name. He told me once before and I forgot, man. I'm sorry. But he used to say he wanted to rhyme. He liked to rhyme whenever. We put together a little song. No, it was kind of fun. The mixing quality was terrible, I'm not gonna lie. The mixing was bad. It was like one of those little Microsoft Windows microphones with look like the Bob Barker stick microphone. So recording doesn't sound that good, but the lyrics was pretty fun. It's pretty dope. And we ended up doing a cut, all three of us together. We called it "Do You Know." It's kind of like a Southern bounty type song, but it was smooth, man. And I asked him, you know what, man, I got this song I wrote called "My Intro," and had this beat in my head, but it wasn't my beat. It was Lupe Fiasco's Kick Push. But I'm not going to use that beat. We got to use the original beat. And he had his own beat. It was pretty smooth. I liked it, man. So I recorded the song called "My Intro" just for me. And I guess you can say that was probably my first solo song recording for myself. I'm like, I can do something with this. Even though the mixing wasn't that good and it sounded like shit a little bit, I had fun. I took a lot of pride in that song. I still have that CD, by the way, if anybody wants to hear that song. But you gotta remember, preface it with the equipment I was working with was none to none. Anyway, the song "Do You Know," all three of us, me, Robert Freeman, aka Free Money, and the other cat, we decided that we was going to perform that song in the crew bar at a pajama party I was throwing because I DJ'd in the crew bar on that shit too, which I got a lot better on my skills. That got a lot of help from watching my man RC, and I was hanging out with DJ a lot, and my boy James was all like a DJ crew. We used to tear it down every weekend. We threw battles, we threw rap contests, we threw dance contests, threw pajama party one time, and we performed that song. We wrote, recorded, and performed the song on the same day. So that we wrote, recorded it in the afternoon, had to memorize it, and then perform it in the crew bar that evening, while after having some drinks, while all three of us passing around the same microphone. And remember, this microphone was like a mic that you use to record drums, like a drum microphone, like a narrow looking one. So it wasn't made for vocals, and it wasn't EQ'd too well, so you had to cuff the mic in a weird way. So it was a hard performance, but people dug it. We had fun. We couldn't remember every single lyric, was messing up a little bit, but the vibe and the energy we created was dope. I'm like, man, yeah, I definitely want to take this to the next level one day. I can't wait to get on stages and clubs and bars and shows and maybe arenas one day, just bigger, broaden my audience, keep it going. So I did just that, man. And eventually, after I was done working on the cruise line, I struggled to find work that was substantial to me, that I thought I earned and that I thought I was qualified for. So I had to settle for just working some chain restaurants, some regular line cook jobs that didn't really make a decent amount of money, but I told myself one day this music was going to take off. I know it is, or some way. So met up with Conniva, Hood Prince, and I Sizzle again, and by this time I had written a ton more rhymes and songs and choruses and stuff and ideas for albums. And they was working on a song called Get Wild, and this beat was at that fast bounce double time. And since I talk fast, I wrote some rhymes where it was like triple time flow. They was like, well, why don't you use that Midwest speed knot shit you be doing, talking about all the time, man? Why don't you try some of that? And I did it. I wrote it, and I did in the studio, and I was so comfortable. There's a video of me actually on my Facebook somewhere in the old archives of me spitting that verse in the studio. This was like 2006 or 7, something like that. And that was when they made me the unofficial new member of the Street Arsonists. It didn't become really official until later on, but that was Conniva said it on the intro, the new member of the Street Arsonist family, Khari Martino. We said it on the intro to my verse. And then I came right in, stepping out, we wilding out. Bet you never know I got more bounce to the ounce, we clowning. That's how we do, hands in the air like I was robbing you. Oh, I don't remember the rest, but that's kind of how it first started off. And we had so much fun in the studio, man. EMS, that we just started doing shows together, man. Conniva was doing a lot of the booking of the shows. He was spearheading the group. He was making t-shirts for us, was rocking t-shirts, dressing alike, dressing the same t-shirts and stuff, doing a lot of merch. I was making some of my own merch, hats and wristbands and stuff. And during this time, I'm getting introduced to a lot of people. I'm getting introduced to a lot of movers and shakers in Hawaii and the music scene, producers, promoters, people that was other artists, models, modeling crews, the Rough Riders Hawaii chapter, the head of the Rough Riders Hawaii chapter, and right now I'm gonna take this time to give some shout outs to some of these cats, Of course, Conniva, I Sizzle, Hood Prince, the three brothers, the original Street Arsonists, Majesty, he joined the group before I did. Got the Rough Riders Hawaii chapter, Supreme, I think he was the head of at the time. I'm gonna give a shout out to Track Baby, may he rest in peace. Oh my God, aka Devious, where that's what his name was when I met him, Mr. Christopher DeShields. He had 2 proteges, 3 actually, Cavi, Jazzy, V-Dot, all great artists in their own right, which had the pleasure to do a song with Jazzy, had her featured on my 4th album, which we'll get to that. Misbehaving with the Island Honeys, got Chemistry, Yvonne, she was with the Island Honeys, she took care of them. Lamar from I Deliver Entertainment, hell of a promoter. Shango Don Raga, promoter, DJ, artist, radio personality, Steve Sirens, Caution, Bank, Standalone Entertainment, TJ, better call me TJ in the streets. I see you out there, boy. Action 20 Birds, he's still making hella music, man. Ecstasy Tees, IA, the Kama Classic. Yeah, he's acting now. He's still putting out crazy music, man. He's one of the biggest names in Hawaii to this day. LBE, Local Boys Entertainment. Lil Diesel did some collabs with him. Malachi, Willie G Guy, Doug Late Lemberg. Who else we got? Marianne Ito, Island Gang, Tails, Avion, Air. Man, it's an offshoot of Dipset. You know what I mean? Got a chance to do some stuff with them. I was in their music video. What You Fucker? Yeah, it's on YouTube. We'll get to that too. Let me see. We got T-Cron, tactfully questioning rappers over negligence. Yeah, man, I did a joint with him, man. Hell of an artist, man. We got Jake Johns, Al Vegas, Chris Styles, radio DJ, artist, and all that. Promoter. We performed at so many clubs, man. Panama Hatties, Just One, Hawaiian Hut, Hawaiian Brian's. I performed at the MMA Expo one year, Zanzibar, The Cellar, World Cafe, Volcanoes. Performed at strip clubs, Eurasia, Rumors. These are all places that I frequented and I loved, man. And although that we never actually put out a full album as a Street Arsonist, a group with me and Majesty, our iteration of the group, we did a lot together. We just never really got around to putting out a full artist because most of us in our own right were solo artists too. And we had different life situations going on, different things going on, whether it be scheduling conflicts or just not really getting around to it. It never really came to fruition, but we still supported each other throughout everything we all did individually to this day. And I'll get on to that somewhere later in the story, too, other projects. But yeah, man, getting back to Track Baby though, man, it's a sad loss. We lost him about 4 or 5 years ago. 2021, he passed away. It was, yeah, I'm still not sure how we lost him, but I'm not going to put that out there asking because what's important is what the impact that he made, not just in Hawaii, but in California and where he's from, Chicago, and the world, man. Like, I've learned a lot about music video making, producing, and rapping from him. You know, I remember after one show I did with the Street Arsonist, I met him a couple times at previous shows, but he hit me up one time. He said, yo, hey, you want to come through work on a song? I was like, yeah, I'd love to, man, but I ain't got no money right now. I can't really afford any studio time at the moment. He's like, nah, don't worry, this one's on me. This is my first time actually working with him in his studio. I drove down to his spot after a show, and he was working on, I forgot what it was. I think it was a song called Jam, but I didn't know that at the time. He's put on this fire-ass beat, and I wrote to it then and recorded my verse. And he was like, all right, that's cool, that's dope. I like that. And I came back some weeks later. I pull up to his house, man. First of all, I get into his room. I get into his house. His studio is his whole room. It's like he has equipment everywhere. Everything you need is there. Whether it comes to video production, music production, the mic booth, he's got it there. He knows how to work all that. He was dope. I looked him up on YouTube. He had a bunch of music videos out from him and other artists. He was posting beats on YouTube. He was nice with it. I mean, this dude is super talented, and he raps his ass off too. He had like this quick time Midwestern flow, speed knot, staccato, whatever you want to call it. He was killing it. But when I walk in there the second time, not only did I not hear the beat, he had the cartoon Gem and the Holograms from YouTube playing on the screen. I'm like, what's he looking at? What is he doing? I said, what you doing? He said, no, don't worry about it. Check this out. I changed the beat up, but I didn't mess with your verse because it's the same BPMs. He hit the play button, and I snapped like, what the hell? That's dope. That's hard. And he had sampled the Jam and the Holograms theme song and put it in the hook. And he called the song Jam, Jam. He was like, you know what? I'm planning on doing a music video for this song. So keep your phone by your side because we won't kill it. I'm like, all right, cool. So some time goes by. I forgot how many weeks or months, but we end up doing the music video for it there in his house. Steady cam, one shot, right there. He had somebody else that was one of his friends modeling the video, and his homeboy, who I didn't know was a rapper at the time until I seen him that night, Sean G. I hope he's free now. If not, free Sean G, man. He did the outro in the song. He wasn't even in the video. I didn't even know he was in the video until like the video came out some weeks later. It came together beautifully, man. I've used videos on Vivo right now. I think it's still on YouTube. I'm not sure. Maybe it got taken down because of the sample in the chorus, but yeah, man, song Jam was a monster. I still play that song to this day. It's one of my favorite songs that I was able to be a part of, and that's my first music video ever. And I learned a lot about shooting a music video just from him, watching him do others and seeing his camera work and stuff like that. And I caught the bug on that. After that, I wanted to do music videos, and it became also a strong passion of mine, which it still is to this day. I ended up making self-producing, editing, directing, and making 16 of my own music videos and a few videos for other people too over time up to this day. We'll get into that, but anyway, back to the Street Arsonist, man. I love this cats forever. We Kaniva had me go to the studio with him a couple times, and he hooked me up with some of his studio time to record a couple of my own songs for me. So I had this beat that Kaniva says he made it, but Hood Prince also said he made it, so I'm not sure who made it. I don't really care. All I know is it was a dope ass beat, and I recorded a song which I ended up titling "Gotta Hustle." Yeah, man, that song was a smash, man. And that beat was just hard, and I went in 3 verses, killed it. And I told myself, if I never record anything else after this, I'm gonna be super proud of this song. But I was like, you know what? Anytime, even if I can barely afford a studio time, somehow I can get it. Because at that time, that studio, man, was like $50 an hour at that time. And with the money I was making on my job and my bills, I couldn't hardly ever afford it, so I rarely ever went. But the next time me and Kaniva and I went to the studio, I think I paid for the second hour, I believe. I'm not sure. But I had the beat from Murphy Lee's with the hook gonna be. And I said, I got dope 3 verses for this song. I can't wait to record over this beat. So I did it and just knocked it out the park, I believe. Kaniva was hyped. So I had those 2 songs plus the Do You Know song in my bag for as personal solo songs. I'm like, you know what? I think I'm ready to start working on my solo album. Turns out, over the next 3, maybe even 4 years, it took me that long to put together my first solo album because I just couldn't afford studio time, straight up. But a little bit at a time, I got a job where I was working at a restaurant, and a homeboy that I became cool with, my man Samsung, you know what I'm saying? He had a laptop and he used to play piano. He knew how to make beats on GarageBand. He started showing me how to use GarageBand, and I ended up taking some beats that Kaniva had given me on a CD, like some random instrumentals, somewhere industry beats, somewhere beats from just local producers that I never knew who they were, and I was just recording songs on that laptop at work on my break, man. Yeah, man, or I'll take it home and record some stuff, because this is before I had my own music recording software on a laptop or any equipment. And Samson, man, he had a homeboy, my boy B Lang, Brandon. I miss that dude, man. I had so much fun working with him. He's he recorded a little verse, and somebody else did. One of their boys recorded a verse on this crazy beat they had, man. This beat, we ended up calling it, the song is called Lakeside, and we all lost the song. It was in none of our computers. We didn't have it on CD. If we did, we lost it. Didn't have it on flash drive. If we did, we lost it. To this day, we still talk about that song. So it's so hype. A lot of people loved it. But yeah, man, that was a struggle, man. We're trying to get songs out there and record them, and eventually I was doing that for a while, and I ended up meeting the husband of this lady I worked with. His name was Lau, and he had a nice studio set up at his house, and he knew that I did graphic design, like to make images on computers, whether it's be logos or things of that nature. And he was offering, like, favor for a favor, job for a job, do this artwork for me. I'll give you about an hour of studio time here and there. So we did that. And I ended up doing a couple songs for my first album. His wife had let me borrow his laptop for some reason. I think I'm not sure what he did with it, but he let me rip some beats off of there, or she did. And I didn't use any of them. I kept the one, it ended up being one of the best beats I ever heard in my life. I recorded it, Back to Paradise on it, which was like a part two of the Floating on Paradise song. I did the talent show back on the cruise line. Man, I put that song on my second album. But yeah, man, eventually I finally finished my first album. I called it Pages of My Rhyme Book. I dropped it in 2011, I believe it was, or early 2012. It was all on CD, hand to hand. You know, I think I put it on Reverb Nation or no, Dat Piff. That Piff was a mixtape hosting site. A lot of rappers, a lot of artists and singers hosting mixtapes on that site because it was free. You can put your albums or mixtapes on there for free. People can download them off of there for free. And I couldn't sell anything back then because I had a bunch of industry beats on those. So I guess you can call it a mixtape, my first offering. So, and I sold a bunch of those hand to hand under the table. You know, like a lot of us was doing. Gave away a bunch of them. And you know, I was just contacting promoters that I was meeting over through Facebook. I mean, not Facebook, MySpace, and when I was going out to shows. My contact is one. Her name was Chemistry. She was hosting shows here and there. I wanted to see what she was about, see what kind of shows she did, and she offered me a slot on one of her shows, which was my first time having a solo slot performing live. And I did that at a club in Kapolei. It's a town out there in Hawaii, on Oahu, and I can't remember the name of the club, but it was fun though. But let me rewind it back to a couple of the shows I did with the Street Arsonist. No, it was performing at a lot of places, and I got a funny story about one of those performances that kind of changed my trajectory as far as my focus, because it wasn't one of my shining moments. And yeah, so one night I'm at my boy's crib. I was in a bad way. I was drinking too much, and by the time I got to the venue, you know, I had forgot half my verse. I was messing up by slurring my words on stage in the verse, and later on that show, there's a bunch of us on stage dancing. I was doing that Soulja Boy dance, and I fell off the back of the stage, and like, man, that was a terrible look for me. And so after that, I was like, you know what? No more heavy drinking before a show. You know, I spoke to Kanai on the phone the next day. He was like, yeah, man, he was a little off of that. You know, we got to try to stay away from that type of image. I'm like, yeah, I feel you, bro. That was my bad. He's like, no, you good, man. Just take it easy next time. So I learned my lesson that night. But yeah, man. Oh, and by the way, let me get to how I got my name. Okay, first of all, when I was writing back in high school, whatever, I was going by writing under different names that I heard people wanted to call me, or names I was throwing at from different things that happened, whether it be Spade, I was writing Let's Split or something stupid like that, and I'm Don Martino, because when I was in the military, I had a homeboy, I forgot his name, he wanted to be a playwright. He wanted to write plays and write movies and stuff. He was writing this play based off of, the characters are based off of all of his friends, me being one of them. And my character name was Martino. He just thought it sounded super smooth. Wasn't really a certain definition for it. He just thought it was smooth. So I started putting Mr. Martino, Don Martino, and all my rhymes, because, you know, a lot of people was doing that. Oh, I'm the Don of this, I'm this Don, whatever, at the time. And I fell into it like a dummy. But once I got out of the military, because in the military, people call you by your last name. When I got out of the service, I started working regular civilian jobs. People started calling me by my first name, Khari. Now, back home growing up, everybody in my whole family and my friends was all calling me by my middle name, which is Rashad. I never understood that, but I just went with it. So when I got out of the military, I just started introducing myself to everybody I met by Khari. And girls was telling me they liked it. Other people were saying, that's a unique name, I like it, it's cool. So I started putting Khari Martino in the rhymes. And it just fit, it sounded good, and I liked it, like Khari Martino. I liked the way it came out of my mouth, pause, and it just sounded good as far as syllables go. And I liked the way it looked when I wrote it. So that's how where Khari Martino came from, for those who's wondering. I'm not sure if I mentioned this before, but the song Bad News, it wasn't the full Street Arsonist. It was a posse cut. It was Kaniva, myself, T-Kron, Supreme, Malachi, and Caution. And a few of them was already on the song. He asked me to join later on. Me and Caution joined last, and actually was the last two people to have a studio session for that song. That song was so hype. I loved that record, man. That record was high. I still have it to this day on CD. And yeah, I was still kind of finding my voice, but kind of knew it, but not really. And I was blessed to be on a track with them cats, man. I was trying to hold my own against them, but in the ongoing weeks and months that followed that, I was still looking around trying to see how I can make my name in the game, make myself be known, and really trying to push this music forward. I did another show that was promoted by Shango Don Raga and Lamar Mack from I Deliver Entertainment at this club called Deja Vu, and that was a fun night. I had like full 30 minutes to myself. I ran through like 6, 7 or 8, 9 songs. I can't remember a bunch of my songs at the time that I had, like basically every single song that I had recorded, and a feature verse that I redone. I played that part. We performed that part of the song, and songs from my first album. And I think it went pretty well. When DC Noah had a good time, had fun. I met some people, some other artists. I think that's where I met Ecstasy Tees for the first time, and her man back then. At that time, that's where I met Doug Lindbergh, Late So Fly. I met I did just them. I met them and some others. I ran into a few other cats who were kind of posturing a little bit. There's a lot of posturing going on at some of those events. Some people were acting bigger than they really were. I learned how people use fake entourages and do other little tricks to make themselves seem bigger than they are, and act like they're too good to shake a hand or say hi, or just a lot of funny stuff I started noticing at different shows, but I didn't let it bother me because I just learned that's how some people are. But anyway, back to starting to work on my next album, and after the Lakeside song with Samson and B Lang, almost the whole Mic Check album was recorded on the iMac that Samson has, borrowing his computer and spitting my rhymes to the screen, a little microphone on the screen that was really, really good. It was a very good mic. And I was using beats that I acquired from producers out there or friends of mine who had beats, or just a couple industry beats and remixes I was finding on YouTube and stuff. And that's when the Mic Check album was put together. That's how it was put together. And I put that out on datpiff.com and pressed up CDs. All these first 4 albums, I pressed up CDs myself, made my own labels, had to cut the labels out the paper and put them in the discs. I was handing them out any chance I could. Anytime I got to a show or I was performing with the group or whatever, I was handing out CDs, man. Some people wanted to buy them, some people didn't. I didn't care. I just wanted to get my name out there. So I learned that there was an offshoot of a Dipset. They had Island Gang, which is Tails and Avion. Conniving Hood was also a part of them. So they started focusing more on that, which I was like, okay, now it's definitely my time to focus on me while they're doing their thing with that, and start to get my shit off the ground. So I started going through things in my relationship at the time, which fueled my fire to write more personal stuff, which led me to writing the pages of my rhyme book, Volume 2, Next Composition. And that was like a mixtape style format album, but it was industry beats and original beats. And there is where I filmed, produced, edited my first solo music video for a song on there, which became my single, Can't Give Up, which is still one of my favorite songs to this day. I think it's one of my best songs to this day too. It's a very personal song, and all my music videos are on YouTube, so the songs that I'm mentioning, you can find them there. But I had a little bit of help filming it from my girlfriend at the time. Her brother, her cousin, helped film it, and it was mostly a slideshow style, because all I had was Windows Movie Maker. I didn't know how to use Premiere Pro or Final Cut or anything like that. So I had Windows Movie Maker, slideshow type program, but I spiced in videos and be performing to the camera, and it was pretty fun, man. It's my first taste of doing my own music video myself. I'm like, man, I can do this. So I started learning more about edits and camera angles and lighting and way to do stuff. And at the same time, Hood Prince was getting more into his photography side, and he wanted to shoot a music video for me. He did a photo shoot with me for his website. He was starting HP Photography. He was like, why don't I do your music video? So I'm like, all right, his camera's better than mine, let's go. So I paid him, and we did shot the music video for Motivated and Underrated, which became my next album. Yeah, that music video was shot out there in Makaha. And we had fun. I shot out in Makua Cave. That was dope, man. We did a lot of cool stuff with that music video. And I was like, man, I'm about to go full throttle with this now. Let's go. I started learning more about music video editing. Became so much fun. And during that time, I think somewhere in that time frame, those couple years, Island Gang has a song called "What You Fucking." They were shooting a music video for that out at the marina, and they asked me if I wanted to be an extra in it. I said, hell yeah, that would be fun. So I was in the background of some of the shots in that video with a couple other dudes, and that was fun. That video is, I think to this day, got around 700,000-800,000 views on YouTube or something. It's doing really well. But I went crazy on just writing on like a motherfucker on Motivated and Underrated, telling a lot of stories. At that point, I felt like I was motivated and underrated because I think those people still not really taking me too seriously as an artist. Because I mean, I've been out at the clubs all the time, like every other artist was, every week. I mean, I've been doing this and that, like a lot of other artists was doing, which I should have been, but I wasn't because I was in the topsy-turvy of my relationship at the time. So I put out an EP called the Lunch Money EP, which was gearing me up for my exit from Hawaii. Oh, don't let me forget before I get up out of here, man. I need to tell the story about the song I did with Chris Simpson, aka The Bat. The song I did called the CPK song. Now, I used to work with him at California Pizza Kitchen. He was a dishwasher. I was the pasta cook. And early in the times of us meeting, we used to just chop it up about rap and hip hop a lot, and over the house speakers there was always these instrumentals and this music playing, and there was this one instrumental with a Billie Holiday sample, and I forgot the name of the DJ, but it was a beat that had two sounds. First half of the song was one beat, second half of the song was a different beat. And we used to always cross paths in the restaurant talking about, damn, this beat is tight, man, this beat is hard, man. We need to do something over this beat. We need to rhyme over this beat together or something. I used to talk about how I like the first half of the beat. He used to talk about how we like the second half of the beat. And we'd be like, yeah, hyping each other up to it. He was like, yeah, we should talk about our jobs, man, talking about working at CBK. I'm like, what? Man, you crazy, man. I ain't doing that. I used to laugh at him, think he was joking. Like, nah, seriously, man, you talk about working on the pasta station, I talk about washing dishes and shit, man, make it real hip-hop. And I didn't really take him seriously. I'm like, nah, I don't want to do that. It sounds corny. But over the days go by, I be thinking about it more and more. I'm like, no, this might be something we can have fun with. This could be cool. I might like this. All right. I hit him up one day and said, let's do it, man. So I brought him out to the crib. And we told this story on the episode that me and him did. How he came out to the crib that day. He brought his cousin with him. He brought his other cousin with him, Candace, and he brought his cousin Drake with him, and some other girl, I don't know. And my girl at the time, she was tripping about all these people in their house. I'm like, yeah, chill, we got it. All I had was like my first little MacBook, a mic, and that was a converter, or what do you call it? Interface. That was it. And we recorded that, man. I think I didn't have my verse half written or something like that, but he had his verse written already. Candace came in, did the hook. Took a whole bunch of tries to do the hook, but he did his verse, smashed his verse, man. I did my verse later on that day and the next day, and ended up being a dope song, man. We played it in the restaurant. A lot of people liked it. I threw it up on SoundCloud and YouTube. Friends liked it. It was a dope song. But when I put it on YouTube, the graphic for it had the California Pizza Kitchen logo, and the song had a little bit of cussing in it. So at the next California Pizza Kitchen region managers meeting, had all the staff from all the CPKs in one restaurant, and the region manager of the region I worked at, he was sitting at a table in front of me. He slid his chair back and looked at me and said, yo, Khari, I really like that CPK song, man. It was pretty good, but we can't have it on YouTube with the logo on there while you cussing, man. So you gotta have to take that down for me, man. I said, all right, cool, I get it, I understand. But I kept it on my SoundCloud. We threw it back up on YouTube later on, but we took the logo off the graphic and put something else there. I don't know if it's still there or not. But for years go by, I lost the song, and then I ended up finding the song again years down the line, sent it to Chris. I said, yo, I still got the CPK song, man. He was like, word, send it to me, man. I want to throw it back up as a throwback. And that's why he said that in the song that me and Chris did called Catching Up, Eavesdropping, the phone conversation, the FaceTime video song we did. It's on YouTube and both of our social medias, because it was based off of that conversation. And that's how it was Catching Up, man. So you gotta check that out. Now, the Lunch Money EP was my 5th offering. These were all CDs that I was selling hand to hand, giving out free CDs at some shows that I was performing at, and also uploading them on thatpiff.com, which was that free mixtape hosting site that I spoke about earlier. And I felt that it was also time for me to spread my wings and really figure out a way to get my name out there, get my talent out there. And I was getting frustrated because not only did I feel like I was really motivated to do this, but I was very underrated. Not many people was taking me seriously, or I could really get myself out there the way I wanted to. It's because I wasn't looking at the full picture. I wasn't looking at the big picture. I was not utilizing all my talents and skills and interests. I started dabbling in producing a lot more. I really wanted to learn a lot more, so I started taking online piano lessons. My man B Bell, he sent me his keyboard in the mail, and it was a MIDI keyboard. I started learning on that, and I was putting together melodies, learning more about theory, and I was feeling a lot more that I was starting to get closer in my 30s, towards the end of my 30s, closer towards my 30s that I wanted it to be. That I feel like I was starting to get a little too old to still keep pursuing the dream of being a rap star, and thinking I want to focus more on something I can do forever, that I can do until I'm old. The age has no expiration date on, and it will be producing, but also being behind the scenes as far as helping new artists, helping other artists get out there, promoting them, still wanting to have my own label one day, or promotion company or something along the lines of that. I had a lot of ambition, man, and it just felt like it kept going on and on forever. My ideas were forever, but I knew that I could only do certain things. I couldn't focus on everything at once, but the Infinite Ambition brand was what was birthed from these feelings, and I wanted to carry these feelings to somewhere else. I had a job opportunity in my culinary field to take my talents to Colorado, and that was a sign that was telling me, okay, it's time to leave. The cost of living is too high here. I was making decent money, but I was never seeing any of it, so it's time for me to go somewhere where I'm not known yet, nobody knows me, start over, really be myself, and make a way for myself, make a living for myself, and be able to pursue this music thing full time for real, without any distractions, interruptions, or any anchors holding me down. And I will continue this story on part 2 of the true untold story of my Infinite Ambition podcast. Stay tuned to the next episode where I continue the story starting in 2015. Until then, recognize your limitless worth. Stay motivated, stay humble, stay positive, and keep pushing. Peace.
Chorus Mind Production.
Infinite Ambition.